to our big focus this evening. We've been doing this all week because the situation in Bangladesh appears to increasingly be getting out of control today. In a statement in our parliament, the Minister of State for External Affairs has said that there have been several incidents of desecration and damage to Hindu temples and deities in Bangladesh. The government of India has actually spoken about the attack on a puja mandap in Tanti Bazar in Dhaka. They've spoken about a Kali temple in Satkhira during Durga Puja in 2024. All of this comes at a time when the priest that you see on your screen remains in custody after being charged with sedition in Bangladesh. Joining us now, Muqtadir Rashid. He's a senior journalist in Bangladesh. Yashob Rehman, a web editor of the Business Standard. Tara Karta, the former director at the National Security Council Secretariat in India, and our former Foreign Secretary, Mr. Shashank. Thank you very much for being with us. Muqtadir Rashid, is there firstly, as far as the priest is concerned, any sense or any idea of what the legal process now is?
The legal process is a bail, a simple way that the priest lawyer should seek bail for his release, and then of course he must follow the due course of law. But it is very important for this government to mention that the total judicial process should be followed for him properly, and definitely law would be, everyone has the right for getting the equal footing of law.
We'll fix that
but
line,
now the situation is different in
Chittagong,
because as you know that.
1 second, everybody, can we go across to Yashob Rehman while we fix Muqtadir's line? Mr. Rehman, there is a sense of disbelief that anybody associated with ISKCON in India, would be charged with, with sedition. ISKCON is as peaceful an organization as any you'd find. And therefore, there is a sense or there is a concern that minorities may be targeted in Bangladesh. Is there any real response that is emerging to this?
I'm not particularly going to comment on ISKCON's status, but I would like to point out that ISKCON headquarters held a meeting today in the capital where they categorically said that Chinmoy is not a part of ISKCON. He doesn't speak for ISKCON. His agendas are his personal agendas. So it is not that ISKCON is right now under the radar. It is one particular character that ISKCON itself is rejecting.
That said, what exactly has this person done to actually warrant the charges that have been against him and the denial of bail?
I think the charges, if you particularly speak of the charges, they are related to sedition. It was about disrespecting the national flag. He had a huge rally where some insightful statements were made, and those are the charges. And interesting enough, the character who brought in the charges, he was a part of the BNP, and the BNP have also removed him. So I think questions should be asked about what kind of charges these are and how important or how significant these charges are. And I think that is a judicial discussion that needs to be had.
Muqtadir Rashid, again, in terms of the conversation on the charges which have been raised, insulting the flag, I fail to understand what he actually said which would bring about these charges, because as I understand it, this priest was calling for the safety of Hindus in Bangladesh. I think that line with Muqtadir has frozen up. Let me go across to Tara Karta, former director at the National Security Council Secretary.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead, Muqtadir. Would you like to answer that question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
No, I'm just trying to understand what the charges against the priest are. I thought he was trying to protect or call for protection of Hindus in Bangladesh.
It is not the responsibility of a Hindu priest just to protect the people of his community. It is the state should responsibility, the state's responsibility to protect every citizen of the country. And Dr. Yunus repeatedly has been saying that we want to protect every single individual of the country, and he has been trying the best by deploying all the police, all the military, and other security forces, and he is doing as his best for the protection of the minority or majority, whatever you say. Everyone he is doing for. And the security situation has been significantly improved over the months since Sheikh Hasina fled to India. So this is the situation when the Hindu priest has been calling and showing his muscle, and he's saying, no, the ISKCON has suspended him. I spoke to his ISKCON leader. He said that the ISKCON is absolutely a political organization, but he, as a ISKCON leader, has taken the political position, and he has been suspended from the organization. And now nobody is owning him, and only his follower. And you know what happened to that follower? The followers already killed. Apparently, we have seen the footage, and a few of them already been arrested for killing a lawyer, the government lawyer. And then you know the situation.
You make all of these points. The police in Bangladesh have been entirely ineffectual. So you say that the law and order situation is improving, and you've got images
of
there.
Of course, it is improving. It's improving.
There have been
significant
questions on law and order in Bangladesh. There have been
questions
on the protection of minorities.
It was in
there have
August.
Been examples which have been stated over here. So how do you say that the police is completely, getting its act together?
Yeah, they have been improving. And I'm not saying that it was the situation what was in August. It's already been different in September, and it's gradually improving. And if you see how police is reacting, police is arresting the perpetrator who are involved in the attack, in the students or the people. The police are arresting also the perpetrator who even killed or involved in the killing of Awami League leaders. We have seen that in Chittagong, the BNP, pro-BNP guy, activists were arrested for killing or in charge of killing, Awami League people. So it's a significant progress, I would say.
1 second. Tarakartha, ma'am, do you agree with what he's saying? Do you believe that the law and order situation is normalizing in Bangladesh?
Yeah, first and foremost, someone has to explain to me why bail was denied to this man. I mean, what did he do? I mean, all he did was, I think, was if the flag of Bangladesh was insulted, certainly that is an offense and that should be taken forward. But it's not a non-violable offense. That is one. Number two is the fact that the person who said that ISKCON is a terrorist organization is one of the student leaders. Hasnat, I think his name is Hasnat Abdullah. He's the one who first said it, which is really amazing. Why would he say that? Right? He's not part of ISKCON anymore. That's a different issue. He's not. I mean, was he raising political masses? Perhaps he was. But he was asking for protection of minorities, as far as I can make out. Some of his demands may have been a little over the top, right? Because he was asking for, separate classes and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, those are things that you need to talk to. He's saying, talk to us and let's restore stability. So why wouldn't you talk to him? So I think the fact that this has now spilled over into Kolkata, it has spilled over into Washington. People are saying that, people need to be protected. And the MEA statement, if you notice, is very careful. It says the Bangladesh government should protect all minorities and its citizens. I mean, it's not a question of Hindus. These are all Bangladesh nationals. It's not a question of just Hindus. They are your people, right? So what the MEA says is, please look after your own citizens. And I think that's a very fair statement.
Ambassador Shashank, where does this leave relations between India and Bangladesh?
I think we are reaching a precipice. I hope the present interim government does something that now the temperature has been raised to a fairly high level. The priest, I don't think he was armed in any way, even though wittingly or unwittingly he might have insulted the Bangladesh flag, and that perhaps can be a separate charge. But to treat either the priest or the organization and people saying that, well, it's a terrorist organization and his followers have been killing people mercilessly or whatever way they are doing, I think it's creating a feeling all over the world and in India that Bangladesh government is not able to control ever since the police had more or less abandoned their posts soon after 5th of August, that they are not able to control the situation. It's the responsibility of the government to protect its citizens. And the United Nations or neighboring countries or other countries can come later on for the responsibility to protect. but initially it is the responsibility of the government itself to protect its citizens, including all the minorities. So I hope they do that, because otherwise the Bangladesh government is soon reaching an area where in India there would be demands that so many illegals have entered from Bangladesh into India. They should be sent back to Bangladesh. And then all this smuggling which has been going on of the cattle from India to Bangladesh, that also should be taken care of. So I think that would be on the bilateral front. But internationally, I think that the responsibility to protect, which is a major new initiative of the United Nations and the UN Human Rights Councils, I think that will be taken up very seriously now. It may not happen immediately, but I'm quite sure that it will have an adverse impact on the standing of the present interim government.
Yashabur Rahman, is Mr. Yunus truly in charge? Is he the dominant force, or is he a face who's been planted or put to sort of lead the country when the actual force, the actual law and order, the actual political mobilization is happening elsewhere?
I mean, I think that's a very interesting question that you have posed. If Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus is actually in charge or not. Of course, Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus is actually in charge. I mean, he's the one making all the policy decisions. He has a group of advisors. But I do think we just talked about how this is all spilling over into different areas. And I think one of the key reasons why this is all spilling over is if you consult the World Economic Forum report from 2024 on global risk, it said India was ranked highest for spreading disinformation and misinformation. And the amount of misinformation and disinformation that comes from India on a consistent basis, on a daily basis, that is the one that is spilling over in our border. Even posing a question like, is the chief advisor really in charge? Or is there another force that is being mobilized? I think the only force that is being mobilized is the fact that Hasina still stays in India. She still has a platform from where she can speak. And that will obviously cause some sort of destabilization in Bangladesh. When it comes to minority protection, let me pose you this question. I think there were 4 Muslims who died in Uttar Pradesh in the recent protests in a couple of days ago. And the thing is, if these were 4 Hindus who died in Bangladesh, then it would become an Indian issue. But Muslims die, minorities are hurt in many different places of the world. I think our law and order situation improved. You can actually look at the data to confirm this. But taking ownership of every minority and saying, oh, look, our minorities here are being hurt or they are being hurt, this is one that is really harmful for Bangladesh, especially for a government that is new. It has spent somewhat over a little shy of 100 days. But right now, I can say again to you, yes, Chief Advisor is in charge. And I think the majority of our country are still behind him at this moment.
Tarakarta, would you agree that disinformation is a problem out of India? I think that's a separate theme. But do you believe that there has been disinformation for what is happening in Bangladesh and attacks against minorities? There are specific examples which have been stated today in Parliament. The Puja Mandap in Tanti Bazar in Dhaka, the Kali Temple at Shatkhira, right? These are just 2 examples which have been raised. Several incidents of desecration and damage to Hindu temples and deities in Bangladesh reported in the past few months. This is a statement made on the floor of Parliament, right? Why would the government of India be lying about this? How does it serve any interest over here?
Exactly. I don't think there's any two ways of saying that there have been attacks on temples in Bangladesh. That you cannot set aside. It has taken place. Are there attacks in other countries? Yes, there are, unfortunately. Is there disinformation? Yes, there is. But it's on both sides. There's a lot coming from other sources. I don't know where all it's coming from. But there is a very, very clear attempt to spoil India-Bangladesh ties. I can see that happening. I would ask you, why was Saifullah Islam killed? Who's this man who was just picked up and butchered? For what? He was nobody in this. There's a lot of things happening which is aimed at this, at spoiling bilateral ties, and also some other issues which I'm not bringing up right now. There is disinformation. It's certainly not just out of India. There's a lot of poison on social media, definitely. But the attacks have taken place. I think that is the point which we need to focus on. And if you can stop that, then we'll say yes. We've got nothing against the advisor. If he can stop these things, show the Bangladeshi, again and again I'm saying this, these are Bangladeshi people, whether Hindus or Christians or Ahmadiyas. August, it was attacks against Ahmadiyas. You need to protect your own people. That's all. If he does that, he's in charge. If he doesn't, he's not in charge. It's as simple as that.
Look, the situation does remain tense, and hopefully it is getting better over a period of time. Bangladeshi citizens are our closest partners, our neighbors, and hopefully that relationship will, over a period of time, be righted. For now, I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Thank you very much indeed.